Hey guys, what's up? JOC back here again. And the other day I put up my offensive needs where I went through and ranked each position on the team and gave some options of draft prospects that we can fill those needs via the draft. And of course today we're on the other side of the ball on defense doing the exact same thing. So let's start off with our weakest need, the position we need the least amount of help in, and that is linebacker. A linebacker, we were basically set. We still have Kendricks and Barr, our main two starters. Then we have Wilson on a tender. He'll most likely be back as well. And Gideon is also still under contract. So we have a solid 4 linebackers. Wilson and Gideon can battle for linebacker 3. And we have a couple other ones on the roster as well. So we could actually just be 100% set. But if we're going to be in the draft, we're going to be potentially drafting depth, and the linebackers are core special teams units as well. So let's start off with some day 3 options that could be available for us. So starting off with Troy Dye Smart. He's a linebacker that can play all 3 downs. He's super tough, but he needs to add some strength. Next is Davion Taylor. He's probably my favorite of these 3. He's super fast. He's a 4'4", 40 linebacker, which is insane, but he's extremely limited experience, so he'll need a lot of seasoning if you ever want him to be an actual linebacker, but he could fill that strong safety void almost instantly. If he can match up on tight ends, I really like him as a potential option there, as just that tight end neutralizer filling in that Jaron Curse role that he left. And lastly is Justin Smad. He's a very solid linebacker that's just raw. He's coming off, and he's also coming off a ruptured bicep injury, so he would probably be kind of a redshirt rookie, or definitely not be playing a lot regardless. Next position is very interesting. That is safety. So, of course, we have Harrison Smith, one of the best safeties in the league last like 10 years. We're solid there. And then number 2, at the other safety position, we have Anthony Harris. Maybe he signed, or we have him under the tag. We tagged him, so he's kind of on the team, but also the team has been trying to trade him. So this is a huge if here. We also lost Curse and Sendejo and need depth. For sure. So we lost our 2 main backups, and we may need a starter if we decide to trade Anthony Harris. And if we do decide to trade Harris, I think this jumps all the way up to the number 2 need on defense, because then all of a sudden our safety depth chart is Harrison Smith, and that is it. We'll need 3 safeties, and one of which will have to be a starter if we decide foolishly to not extend Harris or just let him play out the franchise tag. So we'll need some depth for sure, but maybe a starter. Zimmer has been great at getting these late round picks, looking at Sendejo, looking at Anthony Harris, looking at George Iloka, and making them into studs. So maybe the Vikings would look out, not be able to get Anthony Harris, maybe trade him and pick up some random guy in the middle of the rounds, and he still turns out to be a stud because Zimmer knows how to get the best out of safeties. So maybe we'd be in luck there, but let's look at some options at safety. We have a huge list here just because I did not know exactly what you're planning on doing with Anthony Harris. So starting off with the first round, a guy every Minnesota team sports fan wants is Antoine Winfield Jr., Antoine Winfield Sr., a lot of mid-2000s Vikings fans' favorite defensive player, mine included. And his son's a rangy safety with a nose for turnovers. He can also play nickel. He has some injury red flags, which might pull him into the second round, and only being 5'9", if you ever get him matched up on a tight end, that's very dangerous, but one of the best center field safeties in this draft. Day 2 options, Ashton David. He has all the traits you want, vast, tall, but he's just very raw. Next we have Kyle Duggar. He's an athletic freak and played great, but against some poor competition. So again, a little bit of a high risk, high reward player there. And he can also return punts, so he'd be a great depth piece as well, especially if we want some explosiveness out of the punt return position. And then another one is Jeremy Chin. His NFL player comparison on the draft prospects is none other than Harrison Smith. He can play in the box, great against the run, great against the pass. If we want a potential replacement option for Smith when he gets up there in age. Maybe he'll retire in 3 or 4 years. A guy that has the exact same comparison would be a great option there, and he can also play that big nickel. And then day 3. Terrell Burgess, student of the game and plays everywhere on special teams, and I think he's kind of a poor man's Antoine Winfield Jr., and at day 3 would be fantastic value there. Next is a controversial position group I see is a defensive end. We lost both Everson Griffin and Stephen Weatherly. I thought it was very likely we'd keep one of the two, and we lost both, but we still have Danielle Hunter, who all-pro defensive end, and Afidi Odenigbo, who got 7 sacks as a backup and could slide into that starting role very easily. This is what the Vikings have done every year. Every about 3 or 4 years, we have this young defensive end that kind of rotates in on passing downs. He'll get 6 or 7 sacks, and then he'll come in and start the next year. We did that worked with Everson, who was behind both Jared Allen and Edwards. We worked with Danielle Hunter behind Robinson and Everson, and it might even work with Odenigbo. So don't count him out to be a starter. I think he's earned the chance to at least be penciled in at the starting opposite of Danielle Hunter, but we'll need depth at least. But I do not think this is a first round need. The Vikings do not draft pass rushers in the first round. Danielle Hunter, 3rd round. Everson, 4th round. We do not draft them early, and we still get great talent out of them. So let's look at some day 2 options. Starting off with Alton Robinson. He's a great NFL trait, just needs a little coaching. This is what we want. We can't coach talent, but we're so good at getting these athletic defensive ends. Andre Patterson, Mike Zimmer, and company craft these guys and give them those football skills they need. They just need some athletes. So Robinson would be a great option there. Number 2, we have Jabari Zuniga. Elite size and traits, but is raw and not been fully healthy for 2 years. It's a little bit of a red flag there. Next is Julian Abukara, tall, lengthy pass rusher, but poor versus the run. Next is Travis Gibson, great size and highly talented, but very raw. And lastly, we have Jonathan Greenland, highly talented pass rush and run stuffer, but coming off of a horrible wrist injury. So if the Vikings want to take a chance on someone, maybe late, maybe he would slide into round 4, and it could be a great option there. Moving on to our next need is defensive tackle. We lost Linval Joseph, but Pierce fills that role perfectly. But we need interior pressure even more now. What Linval Joseph gave us was a decent pass rusher and a really good run stuffer. Pierce is elite, one of the best run stuffers in the league, but barely any pass rush whatsoever. But we have great depth, but we need that guy. We need that 3 tech. It's about time we get that guy. So starting off with some mid-round options, and the only one that I think would make a whole lot of sense is Javon Kinlaw. He's been kind of all over these mock draft boards. You see him as early as a top 10 pick, and you see him as late as 25. So he might be there, maybe not. If he slides, I have a hard time not taking him. He's an explosive defensive tackle, has all the traits you want, but a little bit inconsistent on tape. I think we can figure that out, and he could be that Kevin Williams elite defensive tackle we've been missing for so many years. Next, round 1 to 2 will probably be available at 22 if we want him. You could cross your fingers, but would probably have to trade up in the 2nd round, and that would be Ross Bladlock. Elite pass rush, a little inconsistent versus the run, and he tore his Achilles in 2018, so hopefully he can stay healthy. If we want that value defensive tackle, because we have so many needs, that getting a D tackle when we can just have a kind of a Watts and Steffen kind of take that 3 tech role. If we can't get that day 1 starter, I don't think we need to go first round because we have so many other needs. So Bladlock would probably be the best talent that we could possibly get. But again, that one might be kind of tough because we'll probably have to trade up in the 2nd round to get him. And day 2, we have Justin Matabuki, undersized defensive tackle, but very athletic. He may have to rotate, might not be able to be that first and second down D tackle right away, but he'll give us that pass rush, which we do need. And next is Jordan Elliott. He can play both nose and three tech. Very high floor, but lacks sack production. Again, Patterson can get guys that can get sacks, so Elliott would be a solid option regardless of the lack of numbers in college. Next, our biggest need of our entire team, cornerback. We lost our all three starters. Biggest need of the entire team is cornerback. Let's start off with some top 15 options. Number one, the best cornerback in the draft, Jeff Okudah. Just straight up, he has all pro potential, Hall of Fame DNA, and I think if the Vikings were going to trade up in the draft, he is the guy that is absolutely worth it. I don't think the Vikings have the ammunition or would be wise if they think he's going to be like the third overall pick. Like, he could go. He has a talent. If they would trade that far up. But if he slides and he's still on the board at number 10, and if we trade both first round picks and even like Anthony Harris, something like that, to go all the way up to number 10, get Okudah, and just be set at that position for the next 15 years, I think that would be worth it. But you talk about just that potential that right off the bat we can get someone better than all of our, basically all three corners that left combined, and just sit there and shut down the outside receiver. It'd be a great threat. Zimmer would love having that shutdown corner, and Okudah gives us our best chance at that in this draft class. But number two, we have another very interesting option is C.J. Henderson, and I have him kind of as a Trey Waynes, but with ball skills. So he has that speed and length that we love out of Trey Waynes, but he can actually intercept the ball. So it'd be a lot better. He can actually deflect passes better as well. But you do, where you gain ball skills, you lose some of that tackling ability that Trey Waynes has. But if you're a corner, I would rather you pick the ball off instead of tackle running backs as well on those outside zone plays. So next, let's look at some first, last, second round picks. There's a ton. You get through those top two, then there's just like a pool of like 10 corners that could fill in that first or second round. They could even slide all the way to the third round. So let's see. This is in no real particular order, but start off with Jalen Johnson. He's your press man corner with good instincts. But he can overreact and hold. Kind of sounds like a rookie Xavier Rhodes type comp. Good press man, but he'll hold and draw a lot of penalties. That's what we've been drafting lately. Next is Trevon Diggs. Oh yeah, that last name is gonna hurt. Elite size and ball skills, but he has poor long speed and may have the same attitude problem as Stephon. Will the Vikings take another chance with the Diggs family? That one we will have to see. Next is AJ Terrell, press man corner with poor ball skills, and got beat real bad in the national championship game. So would that be an indicator that he can't handle the best of the best competition? Well, we'll have to see. Next is Bryce Hall, another press man corner coming off a season-ending ankle injury, and he has some issues dropping interceptions, but being there, having the opportunity to drop interceptions is a pretty kind of good plus, but he needs to come up with catches. Next is Noah Inobeni, or you can just read it on the screen. He's an explosive corner, has all the talent you want, but very, very raw. If this is a position where we almost need to double dip, so the Vikings take one of these higher floor corners and pick this guy up, that Zimmer can have that cornerback 3 or 4 rookie year, and then maybe he could come up and take that number 1, or you just be the number 2 starter for years to come. That would be great. Next is Christian Fulton, an aggressive man corner who can over pursue, which will cause some holding penalties, things like that. And then he was caught using someone else's urine sample after he smoked weed to pass a test. So maybe some concerns there. but we took chances on guys like Holton Hill, so I don't think that would be too big of a red flag. Next is Cameron Dantzler. He's your 6'2" corner. We need size out there. Our number one corner right now is Mike Hughes, who's like 5'2". He plays with plenty of confidence. He's an aggressive tackler, which does come to a kind of an injury concern. He kind of tackles like Sendejo, and you have some of those same concerns of, is he going to injure? Is he going to miss some tackles because he's not really wrapping up? You would hope to clean that up. And last but not least, Jeff Gladney. He can play both inside and outside, and a sticky coverage with a good ball skills. He's kind of a poor tackler, but he looks and he can look a little bit slow on film, and I think it would kind of compare to Mike Hughes playing inside and outside with his sticky coverage, and would give the Vikings just more flexibility with that role, since now all of a sudden we could potentially have Gladney and Hughes that can both go inside and out. So wherever they want to put their corners, their best receiver, our best corners could cover them wherever on the field. But there we have it. Every position of need and some prospects to fill those needs. Now, give me your number one favorite prospect in the comment section down below. If you guys missed my offensive prospects video, make sure to check that out. And we'll see you guys in the next Josie Vikings video. See you guys then.